Trauma is difficult. It's hard, and it affects so many areas of life, and it's very difficult to recover from. In this video, I will share with you my testimony of how I actually escaped my traumatic environment, and then how I made my way on to the healing process from childhood trauma. If you're interested in that, keep listening. Hello, I'm Josephine, and I encourage trauma survivors through the healing process in Jesus Christ. Now, my journey was long, but the Lord did rescue me from the environment itself, and then is rescuing me from the damage it has done on the inside. I've come a long way. I'm nowhere where I used to be, but there is still work to be done, and I am doing it. But first, I had to escape. I grew up in a very dysfunctional household. There was a lot of inconsistencies. I never knew what was going to happen. It was just very hard to live through. There were a lot of drinking, drugs, men in and out of the house. I was left with people randomly, that some people were strangers. I didn't even know who they were, but they were supposed to take care of me for 2 months. I was abused by them, by the people that were taking care of me. I was abused by men. I was abused by women. Look, I'm just gonna put my stuff out here, okay? This is my testimony. I was emotionally neglected, emotionally abused, and physically abused almost every day. On top of that, the verbal abuse was connected to the physical abuse. So every time I was being physically abused, I was also being verbally abused. I was told things like, "You'll never be anything. You're stupid. You are a follower. You'll never be a leader. You'll never be successful. You should shut up. You should not speak. You are a liar. You are evil. You are a manipulator. You are so many, like, as many things as you can think of that you should not tell a person, especially a child." I was told that. I remember asking things like, "Well, can you just tell me what I did wrong so I can not do it again?" Now, so you're manipulative. You know what you did wrong. Don't ask me that, So it was just very hard as a child. And so from my first memory of coping skills, I chose cutting. To this day, I don't even know how I knew about cutting. When I found out other people did it, I was surprised. I thought it was something that I came up with myself, but I actually started cutting myself in elementary school. And I think it was just, I needed a way to express pain. I needed a way to escape pain, escape emotional pain. So I was doing it through physical pain. And I hid it because I knew that that was something that you weren't supposed to do. But it's what I did. Moving into middle school and high school, I developed anorexia. So I didn't eat, or I significantly limited my eating intake. So I controlled rigidly what I put in my body. Also, I over-exercised. So I wasn't eating very much of anything. I mean, like lettuce, you guys, and water and energy drinks. But then I also was over-exercising. So I would exercise like 3 times a day of cardio in middle school and high school. So I was not healthy, but this is how I was dealing with the trauma and the abuse that I was living through on a regular basis. When I was at home, I would isolate myself. So I would try to get away from everyone and be alone because I felt like that was my safe place. But then that actually came to not be very helpful in the real world because isolation is very unhealthy. But in that time, I used isolation as a coping skill, and then I also developed dissociation, which I didn't know was happening, but I would detach myself from my body so that I didn't feel the physical pain of being abused physically and sexually. So I also detached or dissociated from myself. So this kind of trauma happened all throughout my life from the time I can remember all the way until the time I escaped. So moving into the beginning phases of me thinking or even having hope. We moved, that's another thing that happened. We moved so much, so there was never any stability. And the reason why we moved so much was because someone would get in legal trouble, or someone lost their job, or something didn't go well, and the mindset was we just need to move and get a new start. So we just moved and got a new start all the time. Like sometimes moving into like 3 different states in 1 year. And how does that affect a middle schooler? Not so well, 3 different schools. But that's what we did. So we actually moved when I was in 9th grade to a new city, new beginning, and it truly was a new beginning. So this girl felt led to have a girls hangout Christian fellowship after school at my high school, and I was in 9th grade. I went to that, and that was just a miracle because I really wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I was very controlled, micromanaged, but I was able to go to this thing, and they gave away Bibles. So I got my first Bible at this thing, and I actually told my first secret at this thing. So I told the girl who was having this and running this that I was a cutter, and that was huge for me. She was like, "Are you a Christian?" And I was like, "Yeah. I mean, I grew up going to church, and I just thought if you went to church, you are a Christian. If you go to church and you believe God exists, then you're a Christian." I have how I actually came to Christ in another video. I'll link it below and in the card. But I wasn't a Christian. I didn't become a Christian until years later. But she did give me my first Bible, and I read the book of John in 2 days. I didn't understand anything it said, but I just thought, this seems like the right thing to do, so I'm going to do it. She also invited me to her church, so I went to her church, and her church was a lot different than my church, but, well, her church was a lot different than the churches that I had grown up going to, but it seemed hopeful, and it was out of the house. So I was up for getting out of the house. After about 2 or 3 services, this lady came to me, and she was like, "I'm sorry, you guys, this is going to be kind of long, so get you a cup of coffee like I did, and hang with me." This lady, after 2 or 3 services of me going to the church, she came and she was like, "Hi, I am such and such, and I have a Bible study, and I would love for you to come and join my Bible study." And I was like, no. In my heart, that's how I was feeling. And the main reason was because I was not allowed to go anywhere. Like literally, it was a miracle that I could even go to that thing. I was like, I'm not going to be able to go to church and go to Bible study and do all this kind of stuff. I'm going to get in trouble. The people I was around were paranoid, and they thought I was telling on them. And so I was just not allowed to do very much of anything. But I was like, "I don't have a ride." That's what I said. And she said, "I'll pick you up." And I was like, I asked if I could go, and you guys, I was able to go. And that is by the grace of God. That was a miracle. I was shocked. So she picked me up. She told me about Jesus. I said a prayer, and I was saying this prayer because I thought this prayer is going to save me. I thought if I say this, then everything's going to be better. I'm not going to be a cutter anymore. I'm not going to have these detachment feelings. I'm not going to be anorexic anymore. My problems will be over with. So it was not about Jesus. It was not knowing that he saved me from my sin. It was not knowing that I needed a savior. It was, I want to not feel this way. I'm going to say this prayer because this is going to be my pill, my medicine pill, and it just did not work. But I professed to be a Christian after that strongly because I had said the prayer with someone else that was in leadership. Though that did not save me, the Lord used that, and it was a seed. So you guys, seeds actually are real. A seed was planted that would one day be, bear fruit. It was found out that I was getting close to this lady. This lady was telling me they loved me. Because Christians tell each other they love each other. There's nothing wrong with that. But the person who was taking care of me didn't like that. They didn't want someone else to tell me they love me. They didn't even tell me they love me. And so it was kind of like, you're getting too close. You're telling on me. You're telling people lies about me. You're trying to get me in trouble like you always do. You're manipulative. You're evil, blah, blah. We moved. So we moved because things weren't working out. I was getting close to somebody and they were telling me they loved me. And I was gaining some hope because I was going to church. And I actually liked church. So we moved to the other end of the state. And y'all, it was a hot mess. So I went from this Christian community to this like non-Christian community. I remember going to school and the first thing that was said to me was, "Are you a Christian?" And I was like, "I only go to church." Because I really wasn't a Christian. And I just wanted to fit in. And I just wanted to be loved. And I just wanted to not be hit and abused. I was like, "Well, I only go to church. But that's it." And they were like, "Okay, you're accepted." So I was accepted into the popular group. Like the most popular people of the school, I was in that group. But y'all, there were rules. You had to not wear the same shoes in a row. You had to wear different clothes. You had to be fancy. None of this wear some jeans and a t-shirt. No, you had to actually get dressed up every single day to go to school. One of my friends was a model. I was in the popular group. So I was game for anything. I was like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll wear all this stuff. But I was professing atheism. I was saying I wasn't a Christian. I didn't even believe in God. But I would still call this lady that we moved across from the state from, because I was getting too close to her. I would secretly call her and I would tell her my thoughts and stuff. And I knew she was going to tell me that I was wrong because she was a pastor's wife and a youth leader. But she, was there for me. She was always there for me. And she, by that time, knew that I was anorexic and I was a cutter and all that, and she was just there for me. This whole time though, I had been faking it. I was not telling anybody that I was being abused. I was not telling anybody that anything was happening or any trauma or nothing. I was just acting normal. And you guys, I was being beaten badly, and it was not good. I had scars, but I was just acting like I was okay. I was faking like I was okay. I was on the cheerleading team. I was in band. I did all this. I was in the honors program. You can still be a hot mess. And that is what I was, a hot mess. Things started getting worse. So there were signs that my identity was being used. And it was. I'll share that in another video. But my identity was stolen. And I was getting more and more abused, worse. It was getting worse. So I was becoming older. So the abuse started getting harsher, like physically harsher. I called this lady, this youth leader, and I said, I'm being abused. And I told her like 3% of what was happening. And she was like, you have to leave. And I was like, I can't. I don't know anybody. I can't go outside. I wasn't allowed to go outside. I don't have any friends. I don't have any connections. I don't have a phone. I don't have a car. I don't have nothing. Like, how am I supposed to leave? And she was like, I believe the Lord will provide you a way of escape. She was like, pack your bags. And I was like, my bags are already packed. We moved again. My identity was being taken, but one day I was able to get my card back because I was going to have to go sign for a house in my name at the age of 18 years old, and it wasn't even going to be my house. And they forgot that I had the card, my license ID. This is how crazy things were, you guys. I opened my email address because I had created an email address when I was taking like an advanced business class in high school. I gained my esteem through grades and being accepted in school. So I was taking all this stuff. If you know anything about Future Business Leaders of America, I was like the president of that, and I had to have an email. Well, I no longer was in control of my email anymore. So like it was controlled by someone else that was abusing me. And I opened my email one day. And then that day, the person comes in and they're like, you opened your email? You did this and that? Who told you you can do that? And by this time I had been talking to this lady telling me, you don't deserve this. You should leave. You're going to leave. Be prepared. This isn't right. My mind was starting to change a little bit and not feel so like worn down and just messed up in my brain. My facial expression changed because usually I was like, I'm so sorry, please don't hit me. But at that point I was like, this was my face. I was like, I opened my email. I didn't say that. It wasn't that bold. But in my brain I was like, I opened my email. Like, what's wrong with that? This person saw my demeanor and was like, you think that you are do you think that you are somebody? You think that you are grown? You think that you are big and bad? You think you all this stuff? The person came to me, started punching me in my face, pulling my hair, jerking me, and someone in the house said, if you don't stop, I'm going to call the police. The person said, you're not going to call the police. And proceeded on beating me. And I don't know what happened. It had to be the Lord. I got up, I had my hand like this, and I walked out the door. Where was I going? I don't know. Did I have money? No. Did I have a phone? No. Did I have friends? No. But I just walked out the house. And I walked and I kept walking and I kept walking, and the person was behind me saying, I hope you know what you're doing. If you keep doing this, then you're going to let me know what I have to do. And I was like, it was like around 7-ish, and it was fall season, and I was like, okay, so I probably should go back because where am I going? I was praying and I was saying, Lord, what am I supposed to do? God, what am I supposed to do? Look what I've done. Like, this is bad. Like, what am I going to do? And a dog chased, I don't like dogs. I'm afraid of dogs. So a dog chased me into this lady's yard. She was screaming at me like, get out of my yard, you stranger. What are you doing running through my yard? And I was like, I don't want to get bit by a dog. The dog chased me to another street where there happened to be a car. And in that car was someone who called themselves my cousin. So you know how you have people that you're related to, but you just don't know how, and the way they say you're related doesn't make any kind of sense, but they're your cousin because you're cousins. So you call them your cousin, they're your cousin. He was my cousin. Maybe that's just a southern thing, but anyway, that's what happened. I was like, why are you outside? You don't ever go outside. What's wrong? Did you get in trouble? Yeah. And I was like, no, just take me to Walmart. That was my first instinct, was to take me to Walmart. So I went to Walmart and I asked like 30, I'm not exaggerating, like 30 people to use their phone, because the only number I had memorized was this lady's number. That this youth leader's number. I only knew her number memorized. So I asked around, and like some people would be like, I don't have my phone, or I left it in the car, or my battery's low. But then every now and then someone would let me use their phone. I called her number and she didn't answer. It was fall season, so it was Thanksgiving season, and she was maybe like 10 hours away visiting her family. So she wasn't answering her phone, and I was like, what am I like? I just kept calling her number, just over and over. Anytime anybody let me use their phone, I called her number. And she told me later that she had gotten 6 phone calls from different numbers with the same area code, and she knew it was me. I was just walking around Walmart like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's been like a bunch of times, and someone ran up to me and was like, hey, you use my phone. Someone's on the phone and you use my phone. And so here's the person that I guess you're trying to get in contact with. And I was just like, I ran away and I don't know what to do. And she said, I know someone. She had a niece that was in college nearby, a university nearby, and like 30 minutes away. She called her and was like, she can come and get you. I was like, I'm really running away. Like, what? She said, meet me at the Subway and Walmart. So there was a Subway and Walmart, and I was like, okay. So the plan was, she was going to be there in 30 minutes. I was going to meet her at the Subway at Walmart. I go to the Subway and Walmart. I'm on my way to the Subway and Walmart, and I see the cousin that dropped me off pacing the aisles like he's looking for somebody. And I was like, he's looking for me. And I've already decided that I'm going to run away. So what am I going to do? Girls' bathroom, because boys can't go to girls' bathrooms. Well, they couldn't back then. I was in the girls' bathroom. When I say I escaped, I escaped. I was in the girls' bathroom, and someone came into the girls' bathroom, and it was not a man. It was a woman, and I did not recognize her voice. And she was like, she called my name several times, and she was like, are you in here? And I was in the bathroom with my feet up on the toilet thinking, what am I doing? Then on the intercom, where they tell people, I need you on aisle 10, or I need somebody in this department, they were calling my name, and they were saying, come to customer service, you are needed here. That happened like 3 times on the intercom. Sitting in the bathroom like, I almost went, because I just thought, I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't plan this, and then being beaten probably really bad is probably going to be better than what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I didn't, and I'm so glad. But I'm not at Subway anymore, right? And the person that's going to pick me up is supposed to be at Subway. So I was like, I gotta let this leader know that I'm not going to be at Subway. You can imagine I was terrified of leaving that bathroom stall. But there was someone who came in when it was quiet in the bathroom and they were washing their hands. I ran out of the stall and was like, can I use your phone? And she was like, yeah. So I called this lady and I was like, I'm no longer at the Subway. I'm in the bathroom. Bye. The janitor came into the bathroom. If anybody's in here, I need you to leave. I need to clean all the stalls. And I was like, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. So I left out the stall into what I didn't know where I was entering into, because I was like, there were so many people trying to look for me in here. But I just ran from the bathroom stall to the back of Walmart. And I ran into this lady who was looking at yarn with her daughter, it looked like. And I was like, can I please use your phone? And she was like, are you okay? And at that point, I was done trying to act like I was okay. And I was like, no, I'm not okay. Please help me. I need to use your phone. So she was like, you stay with me until whoever's coming to get you will come and get you. I told the lady, I'm no longer in the bathroom. She was like, I know, because the person that's coming to get you said that there was a janitor in there. And I was like, oh, she's here. So long story short, we left Walmart. I ran and we got into the car and I was safe. Right? But then I was like, where am I going to go? We settled that I would go to a domestic abuse shelter for women. Now, this shelter was very private. Even the person who was dropping you off couldn't know the address. So I had to get dropped off at the police station. I actually had to take a test, like an abuse test, to even get into this shelter. So while, they did that and I answered all these questions, then they were like, yes, you're accepted, but you have to be dropped off at the police station so no one knows. If anybody wants to come and visit you, you have to walk at least a block away in order to be met. So, I was very safe. I signed November the 7th, 2010. That was when I signed the paperwork. I had all these thoughts about how terrible that it was going to be there. And the first time I walked through the doors, this lady said, you're so pretty. And I was like, it just was a sigh of relief. Not because she said I was pretty, but it was just like, I just thought there, like, people were going to be, like, trying to beat me up or something. And there were some experiences in that domestic abuse. Let me tell you that. Like, I was accused of stealing somebody's boyfriend who happened to be Tyler Perry. I was waking up and people were standing by my bed saying they saw auras. Like, things were crazy around there, but, like, it was safe. But I kind of got to the point where I was like, I can't be in the shelter anymore. So I had called the lady. I had been talking to her while I was in the shelter and stuff, and it was clean. The shelter was clean. It was safe. I was able to walk to a nearby library every now and then to get out. Like, it was nice. Like, I left with nothing. Like, so I only left with the clothes on my back. People would donate clothing. I had clothes to wear. Like, it was fine. But I just felt like I couldn't take it anymore, because if one more person accused me of something, or if I wake up and that lady tells me that there are oars around my bed again, I am going to not be okay. But while I was at the shelter, I was going to church every Sunday and I was reading my Bible and I was praying. The Lord eventually told this lady that she and her husband were to take me in and I was to live with them. So that happened. I moved hours away from that shelter and I lived with them. Then the Lord told them, she's going to be your daughter. So then they adopted me as their daughter and treated me like their daughter. I'm still their daughter. Now I have sister-in-laws. Like, my brothers have grown up and all that kind of stuff. But been weddings but at that time there were they had sons and I was the girl, and there I have a mom and dad that loves me, and my dad's a pastor and my mom's a youth leader, So anyway, I was a hot mess though. Like, you don't even understand. Like, I was a hot mess. I was a shell of a person. I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like. I had been controlled all my life. I didn't know what kind of clothes I liked. I didn't know my favorite color. I didn't know anything, because all the while growing up, I like whoever I was around. What they liked, I liked, because I just wanted to not be abused. When I came into this free loving space, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I got counseling just to learn how to live in a family, and it was helpful. Then I went to college and I graduated with a bachelor's of science in psychology, because I was just interested in the brain and all that kind of stuff, because I felt like mine wasn't right. I actually I became a believer, and I was converted to Christianity when I was in college, around my last semester of college. And then I lived with friends, like roommates, and had a great job and had a great Christian community. And I truly learned fellowship and love and safety and all that. And I truly actually learned the gospel and who Jesus Christ is and all that. You can, again, watch how I came to Christ in that, video. I share more about that. After about 4 years of living like that and stuffing down everything that had happened to me, my body broke down. And in one night, I think it was 28 seizures that sent me to the ER, where I was heavily sedated. And because I just kept having seizures, in the hospital, I just kept having seizures. So they sedated me, referred me to a neurologist, and the neurologist told me this is mental health. So then I started seeing a counselor, and then the counselor diagnosed me with complex PTSD. Complex PTSD is trauma that has happened repeatedly, over and over, usually with children. So I had complex PTSD, and I also had generalized anxiety, an anxiety disorder. And then I struggled sometime in time with depression. All of the things that I went through was starting to show themselves physically. I wasn't able to walk. I was in a wheelchair. I wasn't able to eat. I was throwing up, so I was drinking shakes. I had lost so much weight. I looked so bad. I looked sick. I had to move back in with my family because I wasn't able to work. Everything was stripped from me. And it was all because my body just was like, we can't handle this no more. We just can't keep acting like everything is fine. It's not. So it just broke. And that's when I went into serious trauma therapy. I saw 6 different counselors, and each counselor, I didn't see them 1 week and the other week, another week, but for a period of 3 years or 4 years, I saw 6 different counselors, and I did different therapies. So there are so many different therapies for PTSD and childhood trauma and all that kind of stuff. So I did those therapies with different counselors. I'm still seeing a counselor right now, and we're doing EMDR, and it's helpful. I'm also doing the Alpha Stem. If you want to know about that, if you want to know about any of that, just leave a comment in the description, and I will tell you about those. Long story short is that I am better than I've ever been, but I'm still healing. So I wish I could come on here and say I have created this channel, Healing the Pieces, about how the Lord heals you from trauma, and I'm completely healed and I don't struggle with anything from my childhood. That would be a straight up lie, and I'm not trying to do that. So I want to share that Jesus heals trauma piece by piece, healing the pieces, and I am a testimony of that. I have been healed piece by piece, and I will continue to be healed piece by piece, and I am so thankful for it. I communicate and I encourage on Instagram. My original handle, my personal handle, is Diverse Lines. So follow me on there. It's daily encouragement, every single day. And then also there is Healing the Pieces for this channel, and it is information just for trauma related issues. So you can follow there and you can get encouragement for trauma related issues. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can be notified of new videos. I upload once a week. Thank you so much for watching. So thankful to be able to share my testimony on here, and thankful to be able to share more videos in the future. Jesus heals trauma. Let's keep walking through this journey of healing as he mends us piece by piece. Blessings.